Vigorous, clump-forming plant featuring lemony lime foliage and pink flowers. Its common name is coral bells, but I will tell you, it will attract hummingbirds when it's in bloom. I recently visited California where I met up with John Rader to discuss key lime pie. John, you know, the idea of foliage is so important in the garden. And you take something like this Heuchera, which I love Heucheras. You don't really give up a lot to embrace a plant with this level of intensity of color. You don't have to have blooms, in other words.
Yeah, you know, often we are concerned when's the plant going to bloom, when I'm going to have color. Well, this one takes care of that for us, and this one gives us this beautiful chartreuse foliage that isn't just entirely chartreuse. You've got some blendings of different shades of chartreuse, and so it's a great plant. It has nice texture to it because of the way that the leaves are multiple lobed like that. And right now, being the spring, we're getting the bonus of it's going to have some flowers on it. Yeah, you get those
tiny little bells where it gets its name, coral bells.
Yes.
And look at it with this blue scaevola. Chartreuse is one of those, I consider it a neutral, albeit an electrifying neutral. It works with so many other colors. It works with orange, it works with purple, it works certainly with white.
It's a very versatile shade, and I think, speaking of shade, that it also was great as a shade plant, because shade places often are sort of dull, yeah. And this kind of illuminates that.
Yeah, you know, this is in your garden, which is in full sun, but for most gardeners, they would give it a little shade from afternoon sun.
Yeah, I think that would be best to have it shaded from the afternoon sun, morning sun, afternoon shade. We cheat a little bit here in the garden, right? And also it's the time of the year also. The angle of the sun isn't quite as high, so we can get away with it being out here in the full sun.
Yeah, well, this is an excellent plant for the container as well. I have used it in numerous situations as the foliage plant in containers, and recently I planted it in jars that have a beautiful turquoise glaze on them. And the juxtaposition of that turquoise green and this chartreuse green is just really dynamite.
Yeah, it's a great plant for combinations. And what's nice in using it as a container plant is that many people don't think, well, planting perennials with annuals. Yeah, it's just fine to do that. There's no rules against that, you know?
Mix it up.
Well, and when we think about nature, you go into a meadow and you see perennials and annuals and grasses all growing together. Why not reproduce that in your own combination?
Just makes it more exciting,
yes, yes it does.
Very good. The Wildwood Botanical Garden is a great place to visit any time of the year. Tom Bruce tells us a little more about the place.
Wildwood Park is one of the unique botanical gardens, if you will, anywhere in the South. It is so typical of the Ouachita Mountain Range and is the closest one into the city of Little Rock. It has about 100 acres, a little more than that, and it's divided into several gardens in about 20 acres that are developed. Of the gardens, the north side is very shady with lots of ferns and some very nice oak leaf hydrangeas that are glorious and form a huge white bouquet. At the end of the Butler Arboretum is the gazebo garden, named for one of our patrons. This wonderful stone gazebo that is the picturesque piece of what Wildwood is to many of our visitors. And finally, the other major garden is the Hunter Wildflower Glen. Interestingly, some years ago, the artistic director of the Wildwood Theater cleared out an area south of the theater for children to play. And she knocked down some trees and graded it all. Suddenly the sun began to hit the soil, and a riot of wildflowers sprang up. So that now we don't allow children to go into that area because it's so wonderful for everybody else.